Have you ever wondered what kind of royal family Princess Leonor might one day create? Many people assume that when Spain's future queen has children, they will automatically receive the same royal titles that previous generations enjoyed. But what if that isn't the case? What if Leonor decides that the future of the monarchy should look very different? Today's story imagines one possible future. It is a fictional story inspired by public figures and does not describe real events. Let's begin. The sun had barely risen over Madrid when Princess Leonor stood alone on the balcony of the royal palace. The city below was waking up, but her thoughts were fixed on a future that no one else could yet see. She had spent years preparing to become queen. Military training had tested her discipline. Public duties had strengthened her confidence. Every speech, every ceremony, every appearance had taught her one lesson. A monarch is remembered not by comfort but by responsibility. Yet one question continued to follow her wherever she went. What kind of royal family will you have one day? The question appeared in interviews, newspaper columns, documentaries, and conversations among royal watchers. Leonor always smiled politely, but privately, she wondered something completely different. Should the next generation of the royal family live the same life she had? One evening she sat with King Felipe after an official event. The palace had finally become quiet. Felipe looked at his daughter with pride. "You've handled today's ceremony beautifully." Leonor thanked him. Then she surprised him. "Father, have you ever wished life had been different?" The king paused. "What do you mean?" She looked toward the palace gardens. "Did you ever wish you had been raised as an ordinary person?" For several moments, Felipe didn't answer. Finally, he smiled. "There are days when I wondered what normal life might feel like. But then I remembered that our family served Spain." Leonor nodded. She understood, but she also believed that service could take many forms. Months later, constitutional experts gathered at the palace to discuss the future of the monarchy. No official decisions were being made. It was simply a private conversation about how modern European monarchies were changing. Some royal families had become much smaller over time. Others had reduced the number of working royals. Several experts argued that future generations should have greater freedom to choose ordinary careers instead of lifelong royal obligations. Leonor listened carefully. Every opinion stayed with her. That evening she returned to her study. She opened a notebook she had kept for years. Across one page she wrote a single question. "What kind of queen do I want to become?" Below it she added another. "What kind of childhood would I want for my own children?" She stared at the empty page for several minutes before writing again. "They deserve a choice." Weeks passed. Leonor continued fulfilling official duties. Nothing about her public schedule changed. But privately she kept returning to that notebook. She remembered growing up surrounded by security officers. Every outing had been carefully planned. Every photograph had been analyzed. Every mistake became international news. She had accepted that responsibility. But should her future children automatically inherit the same life? She wasn't sure. During a quiet family dinner, Queen Letizia noticed Leonor seemed unusually thoughtful. "What are you thinking about?" Leonor smiled. "The future." Felipe laughed softly. "That's a large subject." Leonor nodded. "I've been wondering whether every future member of the royal family should automatically receive royal titles." The table became silent. Letizia exchanged a glance with Felipe. Neither answered immediately. Finally the queen spoke. "That's a complicated question." "I know. And why are you asking?" Leonor took a deep breath. "Because titles bring expectations," she continued. "They also bring constant public attention, responsibility, pressure, and very little privacy." Felipe listened carefully. He knew those words came from experience, not theory. The king leaned back. "When I was young, I didn't choose this path. I inherited it." Leonor nodded. "I know, but maybe the next generation should have more freedom." Over the following months, Leonor quietly studied how other constitutional monarchies balanced tradition with modern expectations. She admired history. She respected centuries-old customs. But she also believed institutions must evolve. Otherwise they risk losing public trust. In her fictional vision for the future, Leonor imagined becoming queen many years later. Spain celebrated her coronation. Crowds filled the streets. The nation looked forward to a new era. Eventually she married. Years later she welcomed children. Immediately newspapers around the world began asking the same question. What titles will the children receive? Television debates filled the airwaves. Royal commentators offered endless predictions. Everyone assumed the answer was obvious. Leonor surprised them all. Instead of automatically expanding the number of titled royals, she imagined announcing a different philosophy. My children will always be part of my family. They will always love and serve Spain. But they will also have the freedom to build lives beyond palace walls. The announcement stunned commentators. Some praised her courage, others questioned the decision. Debates filled newspapers for weeks. Supporters argued that reducing royal titles could make the monarchy feel more modern and more connected to ordinary citizens. Critics feared that changing tradition might weaken centuries of history. Both sides passionately defended their views. Leonor understood them all. She knew that every change carries both hope and uncertainty. One evening her eldest fictional child asked her a simple question. "Mother, am I less important because I don't have a bigger title?" Leonor smiled warmly. She knelt beside the child. "A title never determines your worth. Character does. Kindness does. Integrity does. And how you treat others." The child smiled. Those words became a lesson remembered for years. As time passed, the public slowly adjusted. People realized that the royal family had not become weaker. Instead, it had become smaller, more focused, and perhaps more relatable. The children attended school alongside classmates from different backgrounds. They developed interests beyond royal ceremonies. Some dreamed of science, others loved music, another imagined becoming an architect. Leonor encouraged every dream. Whenever reporters asked whether she regretted limiting traditional titles, she answered calmly. "I wanted my children to inherit values before privileges. Service before status. Responsibility before recognition." Those words resonated with many people. King Felipe, now older, watched his grandchildren grow with quiet pride. One afternoon he walked beside Leonor through the palace gardens. "You've created something different." Leonor smiled. "I hope something meaningful." Felipe nodded. "I spent my life protecting tradition. You've spent yours preparing tradition for the future." The king admitted something he had never said before. "When you first raised this idea years ago, I wasn't certain. I worried people wouldn't understand." Leonor looked at him. "And now?" Felipe smiled. "I've learned that every generation must find its own way to serve." As the years passed, Spain continued honoring its history while embracing gradual change. The monarchy remained respected because it adapted carefully without forgetting its purpose. Leonor's fictional children grew into adults defined not by titles alone, but by education, compassion, and public service. Some chose public roles, others preferred private careers. Each contributed to society in different ways. And that, Leonor believed, was exactly how it should be. Perhaps the greatest legacy of this imagined future was not the absence of titles. It was the presence of choice. A future where duty remained honorable, but freedom remained possible. Where tradition and progress worked together rather than against each other. Where being royal meant serving people, not simply holding a title. Of course, this story is entirely fictional and inspired by public figures. It imagines one possible future and does not describe real events or decisions involving Princess Leonor or the Spanish royal family. Still, it raises an interesting question. If you were Spain's future monarch, would you preserve every royal tradition exactly as it is today, or would you reshape some of them for a new generation? Share your thoughts in the comments.